Hi everyone. We start today's tour at this beautiful lich gate built in 1893. The name comes from the Old English words leech, which translates to corpse. This church has a very large graveyard, and I actually found 4 different entrances to get here. As you can see, the building has been lime washed. This was done back in 2010 to protect it. Now, I don't really like the look of this. I prefer the old photo that I'll show now. But I suppose it's a necessary evil. There is 4 amazing ancient yew trees here, and this one here is a female one. And later on in the video, we'll go to the most amazing tree, which is thought to be the oldest one in Wales, perhaps the UK, which will possibly mean it's the oldest in the whole of Europe. I've come to this church at the end of October, so all the berries are starting to fall off now. And that's kind of the easiest way to tell if a tree is male or female. The female yews have the red berries and the male ones don't. But actually, as we'll talk about the big tree later, this isn't always the case. This tree has a circumference of 855 centimeters. I've done a video on how I date these trees, so you can go and watch that later if you like. And by my calculations, that would make this tree 1,800 years old. So as you can see, this lime wash that was done 15 years ago is starting to all come off. So I'm not sure if they've got to do it like every 20 years or so to protect the building. There's a real mix of gravestones here, some very interesting ones. A lot of them are very old, but also there's a lot of new ones here. I get the kind of feeling that the locals are very proud of this church, and rightly so. Before we go inside, I'll have a little talk about some of the history and dates, etc. The present church dates from the 15th century, and records show at least one earlier church, probably from the 11th century, stood here. St Cynog's is built of rubble stone, and it's a Grade 1 listed building, designated back in 1963. I've found a lot of different churches in Wales that are called St Cynog's, and the saint was thought to be one of the 24 children of Brychan, who was a legendary 5th century king. Now, he came from Ireland, so that might explain the big Celtic connection here in Wales. So as we go inside, I'll play some music and let you enjoy the sights. There's a lovely barrel roof, stunning tiled floors, and lots of amazing stained glass windows. Afterwards, we'll take a look at that famous ancient yew. If you enjoyed that footage and would like to come here yourself, the church is open every day in daylight hours. And now we'll move on to this magnificent tree. The Defynnog yew was planted long ago, possibly to honour a great tribal leader or chief. This tree would have become the centre for large gatherings and meetings. In later times, such trees became known as an axis mundi, a tree at the centre of a tribe's world, and would have been regarded as sacred, as a connection between heaven and earth. It may be that the planting of the yew was not an accident or chance germination from a seed. Few such plantings would have occurred. Perhaps it was grown from a branch taken from a special tree, and that branch would have travelled many miles to reach Britain. Many people who have visited the church, including me, have marvelled at the enormous yew tree, but may not realise its 20-foot girth partner is part of the same tree. So at first glance, you see these two trees and you'll think they're two separate ones. But actually, they've done quite a few studies here, and the results might surprise you. So it's notoriously difficult to access the age of these old yew trees, since they do not grow conventionally at a steady rate, making it very difficult to use tree rings, and they often hollow out, which means that carbon dating cannot be used. The Ancient Yew campaign, supported by the Conservation Foundation, funded a short research programme in 2012, which concluded that this tree was about 5,000 years old. They sent samples of the twigs and needles from both trunks to the Forestry Research Institute, where they were both analysed, and they were confirmed that both trunks shared the same DNA. In the report, it was said, "We believe that this yew is of tremendous importance. I would have no hesitation in saying that this yew is at least 5,000 years old. It can be compared with the world famous yew at Fortingall in Scotland, and without doubt is one of the oldest trees in Europe." The Research Institute found that not only did the two parts share the same DNA, but they were also surprised to find that a male branch on this female yew also shares the same DNA. This tree is monoecious, meaning it is both female and male. So it's very obvious that this tree is very, very special. And although some specialists say the tree is only 2,000 or 3,000 years old, I would have to go with the other experts and say it is 5,000 years old, especially if this is not just two different trees, if it's one tree. Now, I've done another video of a place called Betwist Neward, and that's got lovely trees there as well. And weirdly enough, I suggested that one of the trees there is going to have an archway and it will grow its own tree like in the next 1,000 years. And I think this is what's happened at this site. And I'll add that video at the end of this one. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, please watch that one. I'll also add my video on the yew and how I aged the trees myself. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you've learnt something. I'm going to leave you now with drone footage of this tree, and where it looks more obvious that it is one tree and not two separate ones. And please hit the subscribe button for me, you'll really help the channel.